Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew R. Meehan alongside my partner, the Professor Luigi Rosabianca. What's on tap today, Lou?
Well, someone else is going to be professing today, Matthew. I'd like the audience to turn off their TV, shut off their radio, stop the other podcasts going on, and pay very close attention because Dave Wolcott, our next guest, has some really important tools and tactics for the entrepreneur in the small business in planning their investment. And I got to tell you, Matt, I love his Genesis story. 24 some odd years ago, he had triplets, and all of a sudden, his overhead and costs probably quintupled, and that was the brainchild for Pantheon. So, Dave, welcome to the podcast. Tell us how are those triplets doing today, and walk us through how Pantheon can help small business owners.
Hey, Luigi and Matt, really grateful to be here to connect with you and your audience. And yeah, for me, my story really started, I was raised in a middle-class family in Connecticut, and I was taught that the recipe for success was go to school, get good grades, you'll get a job, and, life would just work out, right? So followed down that path, had the opportunity to do the ROTC program in the Marine Corps, and served my country for 4 years, learned some things in the Marines they just don't teach you anywhere else in the world, things such as leadership, integrity, and teamwork. After the Marine Corps, I transitioned into the tech industry. And shortly thereafter, we had an 18-month-old running around, kind of ruling our lives. And then on October 24th, 2000, we literally welcomed triplets into the world and quadrupled the size of our family. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, the biggest thing that was going through my mind, at that time was, how am I going to provide for financial security for my family?
That's a lot of
it's $1 million per kid. I had a big vision. I had to retire, at some point, right? I had all of these things. So I went to see my financial advisor, and he told me the same thing that everyone else said, which is just, hey, max out your 401k. Just keep doing that. And they have these things called 529 plans for kids. You can stack away money and save on state taxes.
80% stocks, 20% bonds, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. And, it was right then that I just knew that, what, the top 1% were not building their wealth as retail investors in the stock market. So this launched me on this obsessive quest to really figure out how the top 1% were building wealth. So I read every book I could get my hands on, created all kinds of relationships, started investing in private deals back in 2000, everything from single family, multifamily, raw land, oil and gas, retail, you name it, right? And I built a tech business along the way. And then, 20 years later, right, I really created Pantheon to really share with others a framework and a blueprint for building wealth like the ultra wealthy. So in other words, how can you reduce your taxes? How can you get asymmetric returns, right? Meaning high yield, lower risk investments, how to get access to exclusive deals in the private space and not be subjected to the volatility of the stock market.
That's awesome. A good start. So how can a small business owner enter the Pantheon?
So, I mean, this is interesting, right? So, I've built 3 businesses, probably starting another 2 as we speak right here. So I'm an entrepreneur at heart as well. I love to create value, serve clients. And, I think some of the mistakes that business owners make is, we're so passionate about what we're doing, right, with our businesses that we put all our eggs in one basket. Right. And it's like, we believe in it. And I get that. I believe in it too. But you have to start taking some of your profits off the table and start putting them in other assets, right, that are going to start to create cash flow and also reduce your taxes. Right. People just do not realize. I wish someone had told me this, after college. If you're a business owner, you should be paying 0 to 20% in taxes. If you're paying anything more, than 20% in taxes, you've got a huge opportunity, right? So trying to get your taxes down is really key. Now you free up that additional capital and now start to purchase tangible assets. Things like we're talking about commercial real estate, like 300 unit apartment building, or we have an oil and gas opportunity. Most people don't realize you can invest in oil and gas 100% of your investment. You can actually offset your taxes through a paper loss on your statement, and then get a great return, receive passive income through distributions from the oil. So the more you can create this passive income distributions, you also relieve the pressure of having to take money out of your existing business, because now you've got investment income that can support your lifestyle, and now you can continue to grow your business, and you've got some more diversification.
So let's unpack the oil and gas fund, right? So let's be clear here. So I give you $100,000, I can write off $100,000, right? With the opportunity to create income in the future.
Well, it's more than an opportunity. So the fund that we have, right? So we work with big institutional players, right? So our model is, it's a $10 million minimum investment. So basically, this is open to family offices or RIAs. We create a fund, we'll raise 10 million through our investors. This gives us access to that deal, but you can come in and invest for as little as 50K or 100K, right? You come in,
Yeah,
you
but
get that paper
what
loss.
I'm saying there is, yeah, the paper loss, I get it, right? But there's no guaranteed return on that.
There's no guarantee. However,
No,
the
no. Are
group
you,
that we're working.
or is the fund paying a dividend or a pref?
So yeah, so let me just explain, right?
Mm-hmm.
In any kind of investment, I've invested in General Electric. I've invested in Kodak stock, a blue chip stock, went to zero. Any investment has risk. Um, However, this fund, right, for instance, the past 6 years, they've delivered within 5% of their projections, which the projection is a 62% IRR. So you're actually getting back 55% of your capital within the first 12 months. And then year two, it's about 25%, and it kind of phases there. So there's no guarantee, but you're actually buying into existing production of wells
Okay.
where it's producing, it's producing wells from Chevron, ConocoPhillips, big players. And then there is a component that is some exploration, which, yes, is a little bit more speculative, but when you average it out together, you can't guarantee anything, but there's a high probability that we're going to deliver again.
So there's a blended portfolio of wells. It's not just wildcatting. It's you're going out, you're already
Correct.
producing wells, right? So with that being
Yeah.
said, my question comes to you is, it's really much. It's a tax play though. At the end of the day, not an appreciation play.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting as well, right? Is right, look at the devaluation of the dollar right now,
Mhm.
right? If you're in, assets, right, that are valued in the dollar, what other asset would you like to be in? Just think about oil and gas. Just look around your room for a second and see how everything you're touching right now, from the mouse to the microphone you have to the chair you're sitting in, are all petroleum based products. So demand is so high for this product, right? So regardless of what happens, in the economy or who's sitting in the presidential, office, right? The supply is just not enough, right, to meet the demand anywhere in the world. So we like to invest with strong, fundamentals. And then this way, when you're building out your portfolio, you have some nice, basically diversification, right? You're in a different asset class that's non-correlated to the market.
One of the challenges that we often see is the small business owner is so consumed on their business that they don't really have the time to dedicate to monitoring the investments and to play that long game with the financial planner. How can you relieve that day to day task when you're dealing with the entrepreneur investor?
Yeah, so Luigi, we actually built a solution exactly for that. We have a virtual family office, which is really done for you, financial planning, really in our kind of holistic view, which is connecting you with the right, whether it's estate planning, asset protection. Or getting deal flow, right? With all of these private equity type deals, you're basically looking to grow your portfolio. And, what we find is that, 99% of the industry, frankly, just has the lens of the way to invest is stocks, bonds, mutual funds. But I can assure you that centimillionaires and, large families, some of the biggest capital in the world, they have a mix. Right. They have like maybe 25% of their portfolio in equities, and the rest is in, private equity and some of these other deals. So what we have that lens to really understand how private equity works, how real estate works. And the biggest thing, Luigi, especially right for your listeners who are entrepreneurs, and I've gone through this, for years. I mean, I went through 6 different CPA firms to finally find the right one. I get, the more successful you are, you just keep paying more taxes, right? As a business owner, right?
You're lucky. We're still going through them.
Yeah. So I knew there was another way, right? There was a better way. And I was like persistent as hell to try to figure that out. But most business owners don't understand like the opportunities that they have, on the tax front, other sophisticated things that they can do. There's something called premium financing, for instance, in life insurance, which is, a pretty cool strategy, or infinite banking is another way where you can have a multiplier, use a cash value life insurance policy to manage some of your liquidity, grow your capital tax-free, and have some other benefits to that. So there's all kinds of very unique solutions that I would say the average financial planner is not advising business owners, and business owners particularly, have the opportunity to take advantage. That's what these things are actually built for them, but nobody really knows.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Wall Street is a skimming operation at the end of the day. I was there. I know. I owned an investment bank. Um,
Yeah.
Stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Why? Because they get paid a management fee and they can hold those assets in house. The minute you ask your financial advisor if I should do this real estate deal, you know what he's going to tell you? Nah, I don't think so. You know why? Because he loses money at the end of the day once you take those assets away from him. Now, you're also
Yeah.
right where you said the average business owner isn't that well versed, right? Because let's face it, 80% of business owner net worth is tied up in their business, which is an illiquid asset, right? So how do you suggest a business owner today that most of his net worth is built up inside of his business? What's his next steps? What do you suggest for that?
Yeah, great question, right? So it's really a series of things. The first thing I think is really getting clear on what your vision statement is, your personal vision. Because oftentimes, right, we get into business because we want freedom in our lives, right? Or we want to create maybe a huge capital event. But then before long, you get kind of stuck in the business. It gets challenging, right? And you're with different things. So I think, specifically to answer your question, it's kind of looking where there is low hanging fruit. So again, for instance, if you've got, you're paying more in taxes than 20%. You've got a huge opportunity and, low hanging fruit right there. Just think if you're able to save 10% in taxes alone, and then multiply that out over the next 10 years, right? That's a lot of capital that you could free up now to start putting into other assets. I would also look at starting to invest in some of these tangible assets, like real estate or other assets that provide cash flow. We actually have a merchant cash advance fund as well that's got strong double-digit returns up to 20%. So
What is that?
you can
Explain that
drive.
to me. What is that?
So in merchant cash advance, basically what you're doing is providing some alternative lending or really factoring to small businesses. So like, right, here's a great example. We're in Florida, right? We just had all these hurricanes. You've got roofers going around that they've got a backlog of business for like the next 2 years, but they don't have the people or the equipment to meet the demand. If they go to a traditional bank, they go to Chase, It's going to take them 6 months and they'll get probably turned down. We can provide that funding inside of a week, and then they start paying us back principal and interest. Typically loans are about, 7 months long, and we pay investors a nice return on that. So it's a premium for the business owner, but they're able to now capture that revenue, which they before they wouldn't have been able to do that.
So are you guys fully underwriting the deals, or are you
Yeah, so we work with a
syndicating?
sponsor. Our model, yeah, our model is we work with, sponsors, large sponsors that are doing this. And this is how a lot of RIAs are working as well. If they're sourcing independent deals, this is how family offices operate, right? Everyone is looking at, sourcing private deals, and doing, maybe joint ventures or kind of working together to put things together.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. We do it all day long. From our CPA
Yeah.
relationships to us raising money, everything we do, we believe we need to all have skin in the game, and it has to be in the best interest of everybody in the party, right? So we're always about joint ventures at the end of the day.
Dave, over the last 10 minutes or so, you've been very kind and gracious in explaining some tactics. Are these tactics in the Pantheon Holistic Wealth Strategy Playbook?
They are, Luigi. Yeah. So I wrote that book specifically to, really provide that blueprint, right, of the ultra wealthy and
Dave,
where
I'm so glad you said that. I had like this vision of you as a quarterback with like a piece of paper on your wrist taped down with 20 playbook tactics.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is. And what's, what was fascinating to me is, right, it all really starts with mindset, right? So we're recording this during holiday times, and, what happens? You go back to sit down with your family at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you say, "Hey, I've got this great, oil and gas deal, or I want to invest in this apartment syndication." And what does your family say? It's too risky. Never heard of that before. My financial advisor says that's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
And people think you're crazy.
Matt and I never talk finances with our family. We talk about
Smart,
sports, weather,
smart.
and maybe the color of our next car.
Yeah.
It's
But it all
wishy-washy
starts
conversation.
it all starts with mindset, right? And this is why I love entrepreneurs, because, we're inquisitive by nature. We have to always ask why. I kept asking questions like, why should I keep deferring my taxes? Why does that make sense? It really doesn't. I'd rather pay taxes on the seed rather than the harvest.
100%.
I don't want to get to 65 and then you accumulate all this wealth. The entire accumulation theory of financial planning doesn't make any sense. You save until like retirement, and then you actually pay the highest amount of taxes, and all of that income in those qualified plans, it's all ordinary income, right? So it's rather, paying your taxes kind of upfront is just, so much better. So this all starts with mindset and being open-minded, and then trying to create, goals and habits that are really going to support your vision, and having that mindset to start, learning more. And then we walk into the next phase, which is increasing your financial IQ, your mindset IQ, to understand that there are opportunities out there to reduce your taxes, to increase your income, to get 20 to 30% yield on, different assets. And how can you use leverage in different ways, right? As business owners, right? How can we reduce our risks? How can we increase, the income to get to what it's all about? Because frankly, this game is all about creating freedom on our lives. If I gave you $100 million tomorrow, how is that going to change your life? Right? And you have to do some deep thinking about what is that actually doing for you, right? Does that mean more time with your family? Does it mean traveling the world? Does it mean better health? What does it really mean? And I think people need to spend the time to kind of uncover that, because really, money is just energy, right? And money is just going to only do so much. So we need to understand, where we're going with it. And it's typically freedom.
Dave, Matt and I have this theory that the name a small business or entrepreneur chooses for his or her business speaks volumes of what their vision is. Where did you get the name Pantheon from for your businesses?
So, I mean, I'll tell you a story of like how this works, right? So I didn't just make all this up, right? I mean, I spent a lot of time with ultra high net worth groups and family offices, Tiger 21, like a lot of different groups, right? And I've kind of just put this all together. But when I think about it, right, one of the moves that I made was, so I created an infinite banking policy. I started putting, which is a cash value whole life insurance policy, started putting capital inside of this. I then took a loan, and our dream was to go to Italy and actually, not only be a tourist, but live in the culture and meet people and then travel to different places, right? So we put money into this policy over certain years while I didn't have enough liquidity. We then borrowed against it, purchased a real estate property in Italy. We've then been able to go over with our family, and actually, that's tax deductible because we're visiting our real estate property that is a rental property that's, cash flowing, plus we have depreciation. And, that was kind of how we put all these different pieces together to be super efficient and, support our dream and vision of going to Italy. And to me, Pantheon really represents just the, especially like from that building, right? It just stood the test of time. Right. So I think about wealth in terms of multi-generational wealth. Right. And that's what I see when I see the Pantheon, or I see, real estate, right? That building is still here today, back from Roman times, which is just, it's really mind boggling when you stand there. So can we think about, our wealth in that way, right? Investing for hundreds of years.
I
So
laugh.
Dave, the $1,000,000 question. When you go to Italy, are you the Americano with the high tops, or do you smoothly put on the Ferragamo loafers and have the cashmere sweater over your shoulder, making your evening passeggiata?
Yeah, it's funny. I think I saw a commercial like that. Every year we go over. My closet is now, I believe I'm 99% Italian. Like all of my clothing, and every year it becomes, more and more. But they're great at that. But yeah,
Full immersion, good
Awesome.
stuff.
full
So I
immersion,
laugh because
exactly.
I've been to Italy a dozen times. 2 summers ago, we spent 8 weeks there, and every single time I go to Rome, I've never made it in the Pantheon. I have not
Ah,
made it inside the Pantheon. We
okay.
go and look at it. We see it all the time. I got to get there, so it's on my list. So we will be
Yeah,
back.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So how did you pick your place in Italy? How did you pick the area that you wanted to move to? Like Luigi, I'm like, Lou, I'm going to Italy. Where should I go? I'm gonna go to Tuscany. I'm gonna rent a villa out there. He's like, nah, don't go to Tuscany. You're gonna go over here. How did you pick the spot that you guys liked?
Well, I've traveled to 50 different countries, 6 different continents
Okay.
over the years, and I just absolutely love the Mediterranean. I love being by the water. I love the food. I love the mountains. And actually in Liguria, right, you can actually have both. You can have the mountains, and you can have the water. And it's the Italian Riviera.
Yeah.
I mean, it really just doesn't get better than that. And we lucked out kind of traveling through that region and ended up staying in this one town. And it turns out that is like the place to go. If you live in Milan or Torino,
Okay.
that's the summer place.
Okay.
Like that's it. There's no Americans there. But it's mostly locals. And I just can't tell you, if anyone has, dreams or passion around, traveling, being able to buy a place overseas and live there. We've had friends now for over a decade. When we sit and we'll have dinner with 10 friends for 3 hours and we're speaking Italian, the whole time, I just kind of pinch myself with my wife because it's just like, it's just the most, we're in the most phenomenal place. The weather is amazing. The food couldn't be more amazing. And then we're with these people learning about their culture. It's just the most enriching experience.
Dave, your children are getting a little older. Are they at that age where going to a summer vacation with mom and dad is still cool, or are they doing their own thing now?
Yeah, they're kind of doing their own things a little bit, but some of them have the passion for sure.
That's
So
great.
Yeah.
I'm from Staten Island, and Wolcott is not the most Italian last name that I've heard. So where did you learn to speak
It's
Italian?
not.
Was it overseas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was there and learning. Yeah. My wife is Italian, so
Okay.
she calls me the Italian wannabe. So I have to just work harder at it.
Listen, God bless you. Luigi's wife's Italian. My wife's Italian. Oh my God. God bless you.
Yeah.
Matt, you know what? When you go to Forte dei Marmi and you're trying to rent an umbrella and a cabana for the day, English is not an option.
I didn't have a problem, man. Everybody was really good when we were traveling.
Yeah.
But
All right, so Dave, what's next on store for Pantheon? I mean, obviously, it looks like you've created this wonderful path, not just for yourself, but you also shared it with other small business owners and entrepreneurs. But you're still very young, even though you're a newly minted grandpa. Congratulations. What's next?
Yeah, so we're really trying to be focused on a mission to change the way people view wealth, right? And what does that really mean? And so, as an entrepreneur, to me, everything is a solution. How can we constantly be adding greater value to our clients' lives? Right. So whether that's, financial solutions or other solutions. So, to give you an example, we run a mastermind group that we have. And it's just a phenomenal group of people that are looking to really, 10x their wealth, but also just, great group of humans, right? Getting together, going to the next level, working, right? So we kind of drive that. We're also building a software product right now that we'll be launching to the general public probably in Q1 of next year, which is all, how do you do this, right? How do you take this blueprint and really operationalize it? Probably a lot of your listeners might be on EOS, right, for their business. So how do you have it's actually, that's the product's name. It's called Wealth OS, right? It's an operating system for your wealth. So you can, sit down with your wife, like at any given time and say, I've got assets in, angel investments, in debt funds, and, real estate syndications, right? How do I balance my portfolio? You can't improve what you don't measure. Right. So we're working on bringing that solution together. And then, our virtual family office is just really continuing to expand. I think a lot of people really have the need, and people who don't want to work with, traditional financial planning. I mean, that's really just for retail investors. It's not for, entrepreneurs who want to go 10x. So we continue to expand that as well.
awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell the audience where they can find you, all the listeners? Get in touch.
Yeah, if I wanted to do this for you guys, if and create basically a special gift for your listeners. If anyone enjoyed kind of some of the topics, some of those resonated for you, you can go to holisticwealthstrategy.com and get a free copy of the book.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That is a very gracious gift. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure we put that in the show notes as well for you, so everybody can go there. So let me ask you this one last question before we let you run. We want to be respectful of your time. If you could put money in only one investment, what would it be today?
Myself. I've always gotten the biggest
Good answer.
return on
Great
investing in myself,
That's a great answer.
in my health, in my mindset. I spend over 6 figures a year in masterminds and, growing myself, and I'll continue to do that. I've always gotten the biggest amount of ROI out of that.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Dave, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Everybody, that's a wrap of the Liquid Lunch Project. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Let's go!